the CIA reports on enhanced interrogation techniques, EIT, have come out. Now, these are the ones that Dick Cheney said are going to prove how much torture worked. We got critical information that we couldn't have gotten without torture, and these documents and these memos will clearly show. Except, of course, can you guess? They don't. Okay. Now, these are internal reports, and they're not absolutely clear. Let me make that part of it clear. When you read the reports, it says, we got some of our top information from some of the guys that we tortured. Okay, so now a lot of the media stops right there and goes, okay, check, Dick Cheney was right. Everybody report Dick Cheney was right. No, but if you read on, it says, but, two important buts. One, we don't know if they gave that information, in fact, three important buts. One, we don't know if they gave that information before the interrogation began, the harsh interrogation, or after in a lot of cases. And so, for example, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, he came out guns blazing instantly and admitted everything. Now, again, it's a little unclear as to all of his admissions and what came before the torture and what came afterwards. But some of the most important ones, he said right up front before they did anything to him. You know why? He wanted to brag. He's like, oh, yeah, we were going to hit the tallest tower in L.A. and we were going to hit, Europe, and I had all these great plans, etc. Because he wanted to show that he was the top guy, that he was the big guy. And then in some of the cases, he gave up the information right away because he assumed we already had it because we had detained some other people that were involved in the plot. And it turns out he was wrong. We didn't have that information. And then how much of it he gave up after they started waterboarding him and other techniques is unclear according to the reports. Now, the second important but, the report clearly says none of these threats, as far as we know, were imminent. Okay, so let me give you the exact quote, among others. Quote, it did not uncover any evidence that these plots were imminent. And that seems pretty clear, right? So why is that so important? Because Khalid Sheikh Mohammed can tell you all day long the things that he would have loved to have done, right? I would have loved to have hit L.A. Oh, boy, and then London, and then Paris, and then what other cities would I have liked to hit? Well, I know you would have liked to hit a lot of them, but which ones were you planning? Because if you use this information to break up plots, you say, all right, look, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed told us there's a bomb under the Eiffel Tower, we went and got it. Okay, right. Okay, that's one thing. If he says, I would have eventually liked to hit Paris, well, that ain't nothing. Okay? So if you look at the two different memos released here and the overall reports, the ones that Dick Cheney says would definitely justify torture, you don't get that at all. You get, one, we don't know when they gave it up. Two, we don't know, here's the third but of this, we don't know if they would have given it up anyway, right? So because once you start torturing the guy, one, he starts lying to you, that's not even involved here, right? But it's already been shown that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, during his torture, gave out a lot of false information. Of course, he wants you to stop waterboarding him. He might tell you things that are true. Look, I don't want anybody to misinterpret me. I'm not saying that under no circumstances would anyone tortured ever give up information that is true. Of course they might. And they might also give out false information. They might give you more information if you didn't torture them, because using the conventional interrogation techniques we've used before that has had tremendous success, whether it was with the Nazis or in almost every other campaign that we've done. So, and then third of all, it turns out with the information we got, we didn't stop any imminent threats. So when Cheney says we stopped attacks that were about to happen, that is unequivocally not true. And ironically, the document that shows it is the one that he said was going to show how right he was. Of course, it shows the exact opposite, that no imminent threats were stopped, and it is entirely unclear what we got out of this torture. What we do know is the torture was illegal and immoral and not the way that we should do things in America, and it degrades our country for what appears to be almost no effect at all, or at best, certainly a disputed, unclear effect. So shocking that Dick Cheney lied about that again, and shocking that the media is not reporting it as, I have two issues with the way they're reporting it. One, I saw on CNN, MSNBC even, briefly, and in some of the other papers saying, well, as Dick Cheney claimed. I'm like, no, come on, please, do some reporting. And then sometimes what they'll say is, Well, Dick Cheney claims that it shows he's right, and the Democrats claim that it shows they're right. But why are you asking either side? Why don't you read the document and then tell me what it says? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, God, the media is so impotent in so many ways. They're so afraid to tell you what the document actually says. They say, well, the Republicans say that it shows torture works, and the Democrats say it shows torture doesn't work. Well, what the frick? What the frick? I just said. It doesn't actually say. You're supposed to be reporters. So it drives me nuts when they do that.